In the entire world, Southeast Asia has the highest rate of cardiovascular illness, and that is because the way we cook our food, because it's full of oil, we fry it, and everything has to be buzawa.
What is a healthy plate for you?
Half the plate would be of the vegetables, 30% will be the protein, and then 20% will be the carbohydrates. As compared to healthy items, the cheap food is very calorie dense. In women, the vitamin D deficiency is a major thing. Sleeping 8 hours is extremely important. A lot of people, they're just watching their TikTok or their reels at night and they're sleeping 4 or 5 hours. That's not enough sleep for you to lose weight. The muscle is the currency of health and longevity for us. The way we invest our money, similarly we have to invest in our health.
Welcome to Empty Out Loud, जहाँ बस बात कर दो. Today, we are going to be talking about a topic that is very important for most of us, obesity, weight loss. Even though some of us are not obese, still weight loss is something that we want to get into. There's so many options available, and now with the social media giving tips and all sorts of remedies, people don't know where to go and what to do. Sometimes there are certain medical practitioners who advise you on certain things and you want to get more information on it and it's not available. So today we are trying to get you the right information from the right expert. We have with us Dr. Fauzia Rehan. She is a weight loss expert. She is also specializing in women's health above 40, including metabolism and hormonal changes. And she also specializes in skin cancer. So we welcome you, Fauzia, again to our podcast.
Thank you so much for having me here. With absolute pleasure.
Fauzia, it's so good to see you again. हम जब last मिले थे तो we spoke about many things, especially आपकी एक forte है, your expertise in weight loss. Besides other areas, which is also skin cancer as well as metabolic health for women.
Yes, that's right. Above 40.
Above 40s.
Yeah.
We are going to, this time on this podcast, zoom on the weight loss part because that is something of interest to everyone.
Yeah.
Obesity we see because you live in Australia and you frequently visit Pakistan. So you see that this problem is worldwide.
Yeah.
It's chronic, and although ये पहले जो थे सिर्फ mid 40s में ये एक condition होती थी, but now we see that youngsters are also facing this. What do you think? What are the differences in other countries and Pakistan when it comes to obesity?
First of all, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here again. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, I think obesity now, this is such an epidemic all over the world. Mainly boils down to the availability of this fast food, and it's easily available, and the cheaper the food is, pretty much that's as compared to healthy items, the cheap food is very dense, calorie dense. Then abroad, it's the same thing. I think over here as well, the lack of people don't have the time to exercise. So the balance between the caloric intake and then the energy they're burning out becomes a real challenge. You look at the students, you look at the housewives, you look at women who are working or men, everyone has the same challenge now. They just are so busy. And even if they're doing the exercise or going for a walk, it's not enough. So mainly the availability of calorie-dense food at every corner. We'll see if you go across anywhere in the world, you would see all these carbohydrate-laden, rich food, which is just calories, which we don't need that much of food.
So if we look at a Pakistani lifestyle and the food intake, usually people are, taking an egg, either eating some form of high dense carbohydrate, which is in a form of a paratha, or they would have bread. Although white bread is still in the market, it still seems to be popular, but some people are opting for brown breads. But those are also, I believe, not exactly the right solutions. But that becomes your breakfast with tea and maybe two teaspoons of sugar, right? And then comes in the midday, and everyone wants to have a samosa and a chai, again, some sugar. And then comes, lunch, and nobody's satisfied unless and until it is something like a heavy biryani, or it's something, like a curry. Again, we are opting, especially working people are opting for those naans. They're not doing the homemade rotis or breads at that time.
Yeah.
So they're doing the naans. And naans are, we know that the flour is much more fine, and it becomes problematic. At tea time also, they would have something sweet, or, they call it the bakery items, tea.
With all the carbs again.
A lot of
with
carbs.
Butter and carbs.
Yes. And probably low quality butter.
Yes.
And then dinner is with family and friends, and usually very dense in terms of tikkas and perhaps even
again, biryani.
Even when you go to like a wedding or any event, you will see that there are 5 meat dishes.
Yes.
But only 1 vegetable dish. So it's very high in protein. Are we taking in more protein? Is it because of high protein, high carbohydrate? What is it that this diet really looks to be very dangerous?
I think we are catering to our taste buds. If we look from a perspective, so one thing is we'll have to look at that is our body requires certain nourishment. On the other hand, it's just the pleasure of eating and catering to our taste buds that we like sugar in the tea or coffee, and we're getting 2 teaspoons in it. So we just have to differentiate that 5 days a week. We have to really try to nourish the body as opposed to just giving into your taste buds. And Saturday, Sunday, you can, in moderation, go for what you want. If the kind of diet you have described to me, if somebody is going to have that, even white bread for breakfast and 1 egg for breakfast, that's not going to cut it. We need a lot more nutrition. We need supplements along with that. First of all, we need to determine with the size and the kilos, how much of calories do we really need in a day? Everyone has a different requirement. How much are we burning? Whatever we put in our mouth, we have to look at it that how much vitamin and minerals are we putting inside our body. If it is just a slice of bread, it has nothing. It's equivalent to a few teaspoons of sugar if you look at it. Whether it's brown, whether it's white bread, it equates to 2 teaspoons of sugar, and there's no nutrition in it. Cereals are similar. So we have to look at, okay, 1 egg, we won't cut it. You'll have to have a few egg whites and 1 yolk. So 1 full egg and with a few egg whites to have certain amount of protein for breakfast. Because I am in Sydney, we eat a bit differently. So we don't have the Pakistani kind of meals in the morning. So we'll have some avocado, we'll have some seeds, we'll have some pumpkin seeds, tomato, and just 1 slice of sourdough bread. So when we're looking at carbohydrates, we have to look from the perspective of their glycemic index. I'm sure women here are very now educated and informed about a lot of things.
But we still want to know more. We want tips all the time, it seems.
So glycemic index is simple concept of that is that how quickly a carbohydrate breaks down in the body to convert into sugar. So sourdough bread is made in a way that it breaks down very slowly. So any carbohydrate which you have with a low glycemic index will break in your body slowly, and it will continue to keep you full for longer. So you're having a slice of sourdough, or I've seen here at certain supermarkets, you have these breads with sunflower, pumpkin seeds, etc., with high fiber, which breaks down slowly. And then you have a bit more of protein with that. You can have some chicken or some egg, But the paratha and the cereals and all these things, they are
So you're
not.
killing our taste buds, basically. So there's another phenomena where people say, oh, my metabolic rate has gone down.
Yes.
And they say this quite randomly, not knowing exactly what their metabolic rate is, what kind of food or what kind of activity there is to come to the right metabolic rate.
Yeah.
So how would you advise this if somebody comes up and says, oh, I think my metabolism has just slowed down?
That's the thing, that it applies to men and women both. After the age of 40, our hormones, they determine the metabolic rate. And that is dependent on the amount of muscle mass we have. I think my previous interview was all very heavily focused on muscle. And the muscle is the currency of health and longevity for us. What metabolism is, how fast, basically how much muscle we have in our body and how fast is the food being metabolized by that muscle. So once, say, if I take an example of a woman after 40s, her estrogen and progesterone start to drop. So the body starts to convert the muscle into fat. She has to make an active effort in preserving the muscle, so which will come in the form of resistance training along with the protein intake. Now, I'm noticing, if you look at the merchandise these days, everything has protein in it. Everything. You will be surprised the things which have protein.
Yeah.
Protein still has calories. It's pretty much the same amount of calories which a carbohydrate has. It initiates a different mechanism or chemical reaction in the body, but it's still, end of the day, calories. So we have to, when we have protein, it's 1.2 grams of protein per kilo of what your ideal weight should be. So say I am 50 kilos, so I should have 50 multiplied by 1.2 grams of protein per day in 3 divided or 2 divided, how many meals you want to take. So do not take excess of protein either. That's still calories. That's producing a lot of work for your kidneys, and that's not healthy either. 2 main things you have to take home today is, the first thing is your protein intake, adequate protein intake 1.2 grams per kilo, and then resistance training, at least 3 days a week.
So exercise is something that we all in this country kind of hate. When it comes to resistance training, people think, oh, I don't have enough energy because I have worked 8-9 hours. I'm exhausted. And usually people are exhausted after office hours. And if you look at women who are stay-home moms or, housewives, I think they have done enough activity in the day to tire themselves, but not give them that benefit that we want to. So what would you advise a very tired, obese man coming from work?
What I would say is, if they are tired now, whatever age they are at, if they don't do anything about it, they're going to get worse. If they're very passionate about what they do, they might not be able to put in that much of effort into their work if their energy continues to decline later on. To create energy, they have to exercise, and initially it might be difficult, but that's more of an investment. The way we invest our money, similarly, we have to invest in our health. You have to take maybe 2 to 3 days a week where you start off with 10 minutes of weight training. 10 simple minutes. You don't have to join a gym. You get a barbell, you get a few weights. You start with 5-10 kilos, but do it under supervision. We don't want you to damage your knees or your back. So see a personal trainer. Just get the right form, so you're in the right form, not to damage that. Start off just with that. You will start noticing a difference with just 10 minutes of that at home. You will notice a difference. And then slowly you can build on that. So the lazy man's or a very busy man's workout would be that they do 10 minutes, maybe 10 kilos. They start off with 7-8 kilos of the barbell with the weights at home, and then slowly build it up. But the mindset has to be changed, that if they are very tired and obese now, imagine what they're going to be in the next 5 years. And then this whole cardiovascular system, the disease process starts off. In the entire world, Southeast Asia has the highest rate of cardiovascular illness, and that is because the way we cook our food, because it's drenched in every meat, every curry we have, it's all full of oil, we fry it, and we have this tendency of bonofy everything has to be bunawa.
The taste buds, we live for the
Yes,
taste buds. Yeah.
Yes.
So last time we talked about the medical options for obesity, and
Yes.
the Ozempic we discussed, and you enlightened us also the repercussions and all of that. Are there any other options that are in the market that people are looking at? Because this seems to be a quick solution for most people.
Yes, I feel with this is quite a revolutionary thing now. These GLP-1 receptor agonists is the medical name for these drugs. Ozempic was such a, I would say, a light in the tunnel, end of the tunnel for so many people. So we all have naturally, every human has the GLP-1 receptor agonist. We all have it in our body. With the passage of time, there is not enough, or in certain people who tend to put on more weight genetically, they don't have enough GLP-1 in it. So that's where these drugs come into the picture. There is a newer one, which is called Mounjaro, which is a lot better than Ozempic. You have to take less of it. Pretty much the nausea and the gastrointestinal side effects are very minimal. It is giving very good results as well. One of the Bollywood directors has taken too much of it, and we can see him, he looks all very gaunt and very... So if we overdo anything, that would make us look very probably old and wrinkly, and they call it the Ozempic face. So in moderation, these drugs are good as long as you make the lifestyle changes again.
Yeah, so without lifestyle changes, at the
yes.
end of the day, you still have to make them, even if you've taken these drugs.
That's right.
I think the same thing applies to the gastric sleeve.
Yes. So gastric sleeve is for people who have a very high BMI. So this was done for people who were above 50 BMI, which is being very obese. But people below that have been getting done as well. That is, I would say, very drastic measure. But in certain conditions, it's required if they are at very high risk of diabetes and all those things. But then there are because they reduce the size of the stomach, there are issues with absorption of vitamins and minerals, and they have to supplement themselves quite regularly, and there's hair loss and all those things, and they cannot eat much, very small meal. I feel that's an extreme measure, but it's indicated where it is. However, I would say that the GLP-1, if you trial everything, doing it for a short period of time when you get to your ideal weight, and then you can carry on yourselves.
So instead of taking all these medicines, as you said, you have to supplement it with the diet and lifestyle changes. Is it really impossible to make those changes with the diet and lifestyle prior to taking all of this and test yourself out? Because at the end of the day, all these things have some side effect, repercussion.
Ideally, for everyone, I always say that it's best the natural way. Trial the weight training and the healthy eating, a high protein and a high vegetable diet, and with the healthy fats. Trial that. Sleeping 8 hours is extremely important. When we exercise, the weight loss and the muscle building that occurs during the sleep. A lot of people, they're just watching their TikTok or their reels at night and they're sleeping 4 or 5 hours. That's not enough sleep for you to lose weight. So it all goes hand in hand. You're drinking certain amount of water, at least 2 liters. Your sleep 8 hours. You're working out. You're eating healthy. If you've done all that, you still cannot lose weight, then you can start with a microdosing of Mounjaro or these medications under medical supervision. Please do not buy directly. Speak to your doctor. Has to be done properly because there are certain conditions. If you had pancreatitis, if you've had thyroid cancer, these drugs are contraindicated.
So even for a doctor, this has to be a general practitioner.
General practitioner or an endocrinologist.
Right, and not an aesthetic clinic. People
No, not an aesthetic clinic.
No. Doing that as well.
Oh, no. Unless they are fully aware of how the medication works. Because end of the day, when it's making you lose weight, 70% is your fat loss, but 30% again is your muscle mass. Again, you're losing a lot of muscle. So what people do is they tend to increase the dose because they see such great results. They have never been able to lose weight before. They get super excited. They keep on increasing the dose every 4 weeks. They end up very skinny, but they lose a lot of muscle mass. That's when you start feeling weaker. The moment you go off the drug, you'll put on more weight again because your metabolism has gone down. If from today's podcast, people can understand one thing, what we are made of, humans, are muscle. To later years when people cannot walk, we see people walking with their these supports and these sticks, etc. That's all because they've lost the muscles in their legs. We are made of muscle, so the squats and the deadlifts are extremely important. And that exercise, if you're losing muscle in any way, it's not going to help you out down the track with your muscle loss, with your weight loss, or with your health.
There are reported repercussions and side effects of a medicine like Ozempic.
Yes.
Could you enlighten us a bit?
These drugs, pancreatitis, has been reported quite frequently.
How important is pancreas? Because, we know mostly a general person will say, oh, my heart is not getting affected.
Yeah.
My brain is not getting affected. They don't think of gallbladder and pancreas is very important. But please enlighten.
So pancreas is a very important endocrine organ. It produces insulin. So insulin is the hormone which basically metabolizes glucose, and that's the one with a deficiency in diabetics. Now, what Ozempic and these Mounjaro are doing is they're getting the pancreas to release more insulin. So you basically can metabolize sugar well. It does have other actions, like it also reduces your appetite and slows your the digestion of your stomach, gastric motility we call it. However, if, say, they're taking high doses of the medication, or for whatever reason, sometimes they can develop a condition called pancreatitis, which is inflammation of the pancreas, which can be a medical emergency. There's extreme pain in the tummy, and then they end up in the hospital, and it can even cause death. So the risks are low, like not a lot of people get it, but there is a risk of, we can never tell in advance who's going to get it. That's one thing was more so with Ozempic, less with Mounjaro, but it's still there. Secondly, there is a very rare condition. It's called non-arteritic ischemic retinopathy, where they can get sudden blindness.
Oh.
So the risk is 4 in 100,000 patients, general population. But with Ozempic, that's increased by 7 times. So again, that is with very high doses. So I tell my patients, stay low and go slow. Try to find the lowest effective dose of the drug for yourself. So where you're just using it to help you and just give you that little push, but you're doing all the work, where you're exercising and you're eating healthy and you're doing everything, and the drug is gently helping you. It should not be the drug doing all the work for you when you're not doing much. When you take the drug away, you'll be back to square one where you started off. So that's a lot of people, what they're doing is just injecting, and they get, okay, I'm not going to exercise and I'm not going to do anything. It's a shortcut. So again, I feel like we cannot blame the drug. It's a good drug or a bad drug. It's how it's used. Similar to the way, if we take the example of social media or internet, it's not the social media, it's how we consumer uses it. So the use makes it good or bad. It's not the medication itself.
What is a healthy plate for you?
The healthy plate for me generally is that I will have 50% of that as vegetables. So I'm very big on broccoli and broccolini and asparagus and all these vegetables, which we call them the DNA whisperers. So broccoli has been known as the queen of vegetables. It actually repairs the DNA, reduces the risk of cancer. So it's a miracle vegetable. So half the plate would be of the vegetables, similar to broccoli and carrots and not potatoes and peas, all other, your beetroot and there's a pink cabbage, those sort of things. And then 30% will be the protein, and then 20% will be the carbohydrates. That's how I feel at my age. That's the way to manage the weight. And
How much oil in all of this goes?
Yeah, the oil-wise, I would say they're mostly, I only use the avocado oil or some olive oil.
But you can't heat olive oil.
No, you
Yeah.
cannot heat.
So we have to bonify.
Bonify, yeah.
That's
So even for that, I do use the olive oil. I'm not sure which oil do you guys use here, but canola and the seed and those oils are not, vegetable oils are not recommended now.
so they say that dieting and or slimming is an expensive hobby.
Yes.
So it does sound expensive because the vegetables that you're talking about, Pakistan doesn't have them so much.
Yeah.
We have a very small produce of broccoli, and that too, I think, only in specific markets.
Sure.
Would not get them. So we have to make do with kaddu and gajar and
So kaddu and gajar will be okay as well. Kaddu has a lot of vitamin A in it. Carrots are great, cauliflower, pretty much any vegetables which are your spinach, etc. They're really good. However, potatoes and peas and corn, these three are just full of carbohydrates. They can be in very moderation. So as I say, 5 days eat for your body and your health. 2 days a week enjoy yourself. And when you're going out or you're entertaining, then you enjoy yourself in moderation. But 5 days, look after your health and try to be a bit more careful what you're putting in your mouth, because we end up what we freely put in our body.
And it's surprising because a lot of women, even though they are eating healthy and they are exercising, they would complain of, sudden weight gain after menopause.
Yes.
There are changes in the body, and I need you to enlighten us on that.
Yes, so that's my area of expertise at the moment for the last 3 years. I've realized so many of women after the age of 40s, they are in the workforce, and the whole, especially in Australia, we noticed that the entire women's health segment has been all about fertility and childbearing and contraception, but nothing after the 40s. So now women, when they are in the workforce, they have all the wisdom. When they turn in their mid 40s and 50s, they realize that their body is kind of not keeping up with their how passionate they are about their professions and everything, and that actually your body starts to kind of let you down. And that's what's letting you down is your estrogen and progesterone levels. We feel that it's just the reproductive system, which is estrogen. You will be surprised that from our hair follicle to our toenails, every receptor or the majority of receptor needs estrogen. You would see the women in menopause, their hair starts to get brittle, their skin gets saggy, they're getting wrinkles, they don't have that sparkle in the eye, and all those symptoms, and that's the lack of estrogen and progesterone in the body. And it is not just the end of periods, and it is not just the hot flushes, it's a multitude of symptoms. And one of the biggest ones is, again, increase in cortisols. Cortisol is one of the stress hormones, which causes weight gain.
That's why they say we are doing stress eating.
Yes, then we are stress eating. And the other thing, the loss of muscle again. Therefore, when you're in your 40s, it's extremely important that you get your cholesterol, LDL levels checked. You get your fasting insulin levels checked. Fasting insulin gives you a measure of rough estimate of how good your metabolism is, how much of glucose are you burning, and your muscle mass. And then you start with the protein and the veggies, and then you start with your weight training. And in those, now in Australia, a lot of women, I'm not endorsing it in any way, but I'm just for knowledge purpose, a lot of women are doing microdosing of Manjaro. That helps with so a combination of HRT, which is MHT now because of the negative connotation since the WHI study. It's been changed to MHT, menopause hormonal therapy. So that plus microdosing of Manjaro, it really works very well. And Manjaro is being at the moment studied for menopausal women. It calms the mind, it helps in lots of ways, but that's microdosing. The dose starts from 2.5, women take 1.25 weekly. And that really helps with that.
So our grandmothers and mothers, they all never complained about menopausal issues the way a modern woman would.
Yeah.
And that's one argument, how come they were able to manage it so well and we are unable to do so?
That is a bit of I don't know if that is a new in our diet, or they also felt that the women who are working, they have double the responsibility. Of course, our grandmothers were also doing a lot of work, but the women who work at job and then they come home, they have double the responsibility. They say because of that excessive burden on them, they get a lot stronger menopause with all the other stressors in life. So if it's a thing which is to do with our modern lifestyle or modern diet, but we are noticing that menopause is coming a lot stronger on women, and to a point with 30% of workforce in Australia in their mid-40s are not able to continue their job. It gets to that level. Lancet recently had a study where they studied the rate of divorce. And they said there was a very high link of divorce with menopause because women at that age were irritable and they were not interested, low motivation, and the partners would think that why has this woman changed so much? But that was to do with her hormonal health.
Amazing.
It wasn't just her, because it has a massive impact on your mental health, the irritability, the anxiety, and along with all the bodily changes, and you feel what's happening to me and you don't understand. It's such a slow change. You don't even realize why is it happening to me.
So it's a, how do you say, miscommunication between Venus and Mars as well.
Yes. Most definitely. There's a big awareness. And they also felt that, yes, it's only the women who are being affected by menopause, but indirectly it affects the men as well. If a man and a woman, they separate, men are far less able to cope with a single life, and their morbidity, they die a lot earlier when they're alone as compared to females. So it's not just a women problem. It's a problem for men. It's a problem for all of us. So they need to understand when a woman is going through this, that it could be the menopause.
The divine balance.
Yes, most definitely. And I have seen people's lives changing with this. I have been prescribing MHT. Obviously, again, there are contraindications. There are times we cannot prescribe it, but it's a life-changing thing for women. It's very uplifting. You get your life back and you're able to become strong again and function, and you feel you're not losing your mind. It's a miracle.
I'm so glad that we had this conversation, because there is so much of confusion around, various methodologies, whether it's medical or other alternate methodologies for weight loss. And people are still looking for tips and going to all sorts of quacks. It's just on a recommendation basis that we are looking at these things. So there is a whole, as you said, a medical approach to it, because your other body organs are involved in it, and then we have to see health as an investment for the next few years. So if you're feeling tired now and you're in your 40s, think about your 50s, and then your 60s. So the stronger your muscle, the healthier your muscle, the more energy you would have, and you would have a better quality life. Obviously, we don't know about longevity, because that is, as we believe, is something that is not in our hands. However, quality of life is exceptionally important.
Definitely, most definitely. And then if people are keen for a more natural way, are simple. The isbagol husk is a very good way of, if you eat enough food, then you have 1 or 2 teaspoons of isbagol husk with that. That's a good filler for you as well. And then slowly your stomach will shrink gradually. Then there are these probiotic these days. There's a specific one called Acra Mensia. Pendulum Health is a company in New Zealand, they make it. And that actually we see these people, we all love to hate them, where they can eat everything and they never put on weight.
Yeah.
They have, it's been seen under clinical studies, they have a particular type of microbiome in their intestines, which is called acromencia, which burns calories, and it is very efficient in metabolizing the carbohydrates. So if you take a capsule of that, some people swear by that, that can help as well. It's very healthy. It's all natural.
For weight loss, your internal health of your intestines is so important. I mean, you should have the right microbes to be able to digest and give you the right output from the foods that you have eaten.
That's true. And another thing is the vitamin D deficiency I've noticed in women, and especially Pakistan. The vitamin D deficiency is a major thing. If you look at the vitamin D, it says level 50. 50 is the minimal. That is not the optimal level, is around 75 to 80. Once your vitamin D level is above 50, it again repairs your DNA. It's good for your cognition. It is anti-cancer. It protects against a lot of cancers, and you burn more fat as well. So vitamin D, if you are going to get your blood test, vitamin D, if it's close to 50, a lot of people say, oh, this is perfect. It is not perfect. It is just the minimum. It has to be the optimal, or the sweet spot, I like to say, is 75 to 80. And you would see your skin will glow, and you will have that, your hair will be better, and you'll feel, because it repairs your DNA. Just like I was talking about the broccoli, vitamin D does a similar job.
There are probably lots of minerals and vitamins that we are deficient in.
Yes.
The other one perhaps is calcium, because in Pakistan we face that a lot amongst women.
Yes.
Our diet is not calcium dense, and we do have bone problems.
That's right. Yes. If you have enough vitamin D makes your body absorb calcium. So you won't have to take a calcium supplement. Calcium supplement can be a bit tricky, because then you can have kidney stones. So if you take vitamin D, it automatically absorbs more calcium from the diet. So few vitamins and supplements which I swear by is the B complex. Do not take vitamin B6, but other than that, the B complex is great. Your magnesium, vitamin D, omega-3 fish oil, and I take that pendulum, the metabolic health one as well. That, and I take the NAD, the NMN, but again, please speak to your doctor. There are a few downsides to that as well. It's a bit of a risk. It does increase your energy, it does, but it can cause the tumor growth as well. If there is a cancerous growth in the body, it doesn't differentiate. It just feeds all the cells. So it can feed that too. So there's a bit of a caveat with taking NAD. So I've touched upon the diverse areas, but because I'm very passionate about human health, I call myself health doctor, because preventive medicine is my forte. It's, yes, we have to treat disease, and there are these specific drugs we treat with that, but preventive medicine is where I feel where we can keep the majority of population healthy, that they don't fall sick. And where we can prevent the disease for them, where they don't get the cancers or the dementias or the Alzheimer's or the osteoporosis, all those things where it's preventive, and it becomes quite personalized. If I tell you something I am doing or you're doing, it might not apply to another person. So it has to be individualized and personalized.
Thank you so much, Fauzia, again for a very informative and enlightening talk.
Thank you so much for having me here. It was my absolute pleasure.